Son of a... Alright, so I hate to admit it, but I sometimes have problems with print shift. Um, so I thought I would go ahead and discuss that now. I was printing a rather large, I guess it's not, too large comparatively speaking. Uh, it's about a 15-hour print, or it's supposed to be about a 15-hour print, and about 12 hours through, as you just saw, this piece was shifted back. Now, obviously, you can see I cut that off, but which I'll talk about here in just a second. So what I want to talk about as far as print shift goes is like, there's a lot of things online about how to prevent it, what causes it. So I don't really want to focus on that too much. What I did do was every time it would shift, it was in the y-axis, and I noticed that the Y motor was at the end of this 15-hour print, it was like still cold, and the X motor and the extruder motor was like pretty hot. So I turned up the voltage a tiny bit on the Y motor. Now at the end of a print, it's a little bit warm, so hopefully it just needed a little bit of extra, push to keep it from skipping or missing steps or whatever. So hopefully that fixes it. I'm sure it won't cure it forever, but hopefully it'll reduce the issues. So, anytime I do get a shift, I go ahead and I wipe the rails down. I check everything for freedom of movement, make sure the belts are still lined up, and, just make sure everything moves freely just to make sure it's not a mechanical problem. But again, the main thing I want to focus on is once you spend 15 hours printing a part and it's shifted, well, what do you do then? Do you reprint it, wasting that whole previous 15 hours and, that much material? Or do you try to fix it? Now, the thing that this is going to be for, I plan on sanding it all smooth and painting it. So one option, let me bring another piece out that also had a shift. And it was this piece. Now, I'm in the process of filling and sanding because I want this model that I'm making to be smooth. I don't want it to look 3D printed. So I'm sanding and filling in all of the print lines. I still have some work to do on this section here. By the way, I'm not going to say what this model is because it's for a future video that I'll come out with when it's all completely done. But if you want to take a guess, if you want to put in the comments, if you recognize what this looks like, if you want to guess on what this is, feel free and comment. And if you're right, you'll win a response back from me. That's all I can afford to give you. So this piece here also shifted. It was printing this way on the bed, and about here up was shifted over. The way I fixed this one was I just took a razor blade and I put it in the shift and I hit it with a hammer to split it into two pieces, realigned it and glued it back on, and that was it, problem solved. You might be able to see a little bit here. This is the cut right in here, along here. So that's where I cut it and realigned it. Now, this is a small enough piece, a razor blade fit right in there, cut it, no problem. So this was easily repairable. This is about a 3.5-hour print. And so this one, what I could have done is, this is kind of, let me just kind of clean that up just a little bit, just so I can show you some stuff here. This one, this was shifted over a little bit. What I could have done was just sanded off the back side to finish the contour and filled in this and sanded it all smooth and just kind of blended it in and made it look fine. But it shifted like 5 or 6 times. And I don't know if you can see all the steps, but it shifted like, once here and then about 5 or 6 more times. And there was some surface detail in here I really didn't want to lose. So what I decided to do for this one was just cut off the affected area and then reprint a new piece to bond back onto here. So the first step was to cut this off. And I meant to record that, and I dropped the ball there and forgot to record. But basically, I just put that down on a flat plate. I put 2 spacers, like scrap pieces of wood, on each side. And I took a saw, I think it's called a door jamb saw. Those are good for cutting flat and flush. And I just rested it on those 2 boards, and I just went across until it sawed that piece off. And then I took it to a piece of 50 grit sandpaper on a flat surface, and I just sanded it down to get a smooth, flat surface here. And what's on the printer now is the replacement piece here. So what I did was I went back into the CAD file, and I'm using SketchUp, which kind of sucks. I need to just learn Fusion 360. I've dabbled with it a bit, but I struggle. I just need to take the time and just sit down and focus with it and just learn it and do it. Because, so I opened the file back up in SketchUp, and I cut it. I sectioned it up the correct height and just cut that bottom part off. So I was left with the top part, and I'm just reprinting that top part. And when it's done, I'll just bond it right back in place. The seam will be filled in, sanded smooth, done. So that is one method of fixing it. Just cutting off the bad part, reprinting a new one, or if it's smaller, just cut it where the shift is, put it back in place. So those are just some options for repairing it instead of throwing everything away and spending another 15 hours or more making a new piece. And I've just seen, I just thought I'd put this out there because I've seen a few other, people on YouTube that print stuff and they get a shift and they throw it away and they just start all over again. And I just wanted to throw it out there that there's other options. There's ways to correct it, ways to fix it. If you're lucky, what I've also done before, well, if you're lucky, it won't shift on you. But if you happen to see it shift, what you can do is pause the print and then move it back into position, restart the print, and hopefully you got it in a close enough position that it's not too noticeable. I have actually been able to do that a few times. But sometimes if it's just too far off, or if you don't catch it and it's gone up a few layers, and it's kind of too late to do that. So when you first notice it, this happened 12 hours into a 15-hour print. If it would have happened within the first half hour, or even within the first hour, I would have stopped it and started over again. But since it was close to being done, I just decided to let it go and take care of it later. So anyways, once that replacement part finishes printing, assuming it doesn't shift again, I'll get back with you and show you what it looks like with it reattached back on. Okay, and there is the replacement piece right off the printer. And you can see, again, some of the detailing in there that I wanted to keep, some panel lines and recessed areas that I made sure that I really wanted to keep, that I don't think I would have been able to salvage out of this. So all I have to do is put some solvent on the back side and attach it to the top. And once that's put on, again, there will be a little bit of a seam. But again, remember, this is getting sanded down and painted. So that will be really easy to fill in and hide, and you would never know that it was screwed up. So anyways, and that's just a simple matter of putting some solvent on it and putting it down. So that's pretty much what the finished product will look like pre-paint. So anyways, hopefully this gave you some ideas. If any of you have any other answers or theories as far as why printers shift the way they do, now mechanical issues, that's a no-brainer, something that's jammed up. What I found sometimes, depending on the shape of the part, if you have like an overhang and that starts to kind of creep up, then the nozzle comes back and catches that. So sometimes it could be the orientation of the part, the shape of the part that can kind of catch the nozzle and do that. That's one issue. But other than mechanical jamming, you guys leave in the comments, let me know, because I really don't know. Could it be like a software glitch where it slices fine, you get the correct G code, and it should theoretically print fine, but you get a little bit of a glitch in the G code that just causes it to move too far in one way? Is that a possibility? Is that a thing? Or am I just making that up? So let me know if you have any ideas, if you have any thoughts on that. But again, hopefully this was helpful for somebody. And as always, thanks for watching.